year now, the 23rd of Elul, which is going to be in a few days' time, will mark the Hilula of a famous Rabbi Rabbi Avraham Shalem, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. He was actually born in English year 1928. He passed away on the 18th of September 2014. That was naturally the 23rd of Gimel. He would be a head rabbi in Peru, in South America, respectively, in Seattle also, in Washington, and take on various different, and I believe also in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, the capital of Mexico in of itself. He was manager of the Machon or Mizrach, and publishing various different books with regards to great Sephardi Rabbanim in itself. He was manager also the Mנהל of the Beit Yitimim Sephardi Yerushalayim, and was part of the Sephardic community, the community in the place in of itself. And he was a president of various different Vadim. I think one that actually came out with the writings of Rabbi Ben-Zion Meir Chai Uziel. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, he was born in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, Jerusalem, the capital city of Israel, obviously, in a neighborhood called Yigia Kapayim over there. Now, this is a neighborhood we've actually visited, I believe, on this channel before. It's in Jerusalem. I think it's quite near the Malchei Yisrael Street, Zichron Moshe Street, quite near Geula, and I think we recorded that and toured around that area respectively. So it's great to speak about a rabbi that was very, very much connected within regards to this famous yeshiva, respectively. This neighborhood, respectively, and various different yeshivot were over there at that point in time. We've spoken about this extensively before. So he grew up there, over there, and his parents were great people. His father's name was David, and his mother's name was Esther. Very interesting enough, and I think the family originally came from Saloniki, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 1917, so about 11 years before he was born. Remember, Greece, Saloniki had a prominent Jewish community at that point in time. And I think his father was one of the, let's say, main founders of that neighborhood, also respectively. And much more can be said within regards to that. It was a definitely famous family at that point in time, and there was a lot of famous happenings and important happenings also, respectively. He was a public figure also of the neighborhood. I think he was also close to Rabbi Ben-Zion Meir Chai Uziel. Remember, he was the Sephardi chief rabbi. He would eventually become, between 1948 to 1953, the first Sephardi chief rabbi over there, respectively. I think he was also a head rabbi prior to the formation of the state also. So that's very interesting. And he would complete his studies. I think he studied at the Talmud Torah and Mizrahi, if I'm not mistaken, respectively. And then afterwards, he'd go into the seminary over there of educators of Mizrahi also. I think it was connected to Unat HaMizrahi also, respectively, which is very, very interesting. And the closeness with Rabbi Uziel also, respectively, at that point in time. And would actually receive advice from him. He would, I think, enter and become part of Mizrahi also, respectively, at that stage in time. So I think he would learn, I think, under the also, if I'm not mistaken, in Yeshivat Sharei Tzion. Now, this is a yeshiva we've spoken about before. That was headed by, if I'm not mistaken, by or connected very much to Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, if I'm not mistaken, also known as the Tzitz Eliezer. Yeshivat Sharei Tzion had, I think, the president of the yeshiva happened to be at that point in time Rabbi Ben-Zion Meir Uziel, and various famous different rabbis would end up learning there. They were part of the yeshiva. Rabbi Chaim David Halevi, for example, Rabbi Ezra Hadaya, another great rabbi. Rabbi Amram Abu Rabia, another rabbi we've spoken about before. He was the head rabbi in Petach Tikva. Rabbi Avraham Sofer, another great rabbi. And Rabbi Moshe Cohen Shaoli, another, I think he was a great Persian rabbi of descent. And there was various other prominent people of parts of this yeshiva, including Rabbi David Dayan, Rabbi Moshe Hodaya. Also, there was Rabbi Avraham Shalem, another great rabbi, Rabbi Ezra Barna, and so on and so forth. So I recommend everyone to Rav Rachamim Levi, also great party. He himself passed away, I believe, back in 2013, and we've spoken about many of these rabbis before. So he was part of that yeshiva. Hopefully, maybe we'll record a video about the history of that yeshiva in due course. So he would be there over there. And that point in time was Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg, who would be heading the Tzitz Eliezer, respectively. And he would, I think, receive rabbinic ordination through Rabbi Uziel, respectively, and he become not just a rabbi, a dayan, also a judge. And while he was learning, he was also being trained to become a shochet, and a bodek, an investigator, through some of the top shochets in Jerusalem. I think at that point in time, there was other prominent rabbis there. Rabbi Mordechai Myuchas would, I think, give him ordination within regards to become a mohel, a rabbi that can perform let's say, circumcisions and so on and so forth. I was close to Rabbi Yaakov Shushan and Rabbi Moshe Balach, respectively, also within regards to trainings and so on and so forth. I think after 1 year over there, he would start working inside the Bet Din Tzedek, of the Eidah HaSfardik, the Sephardic community in Jerusalem over there. He received obviously a Dayanut, certificate at that point in time, and he was part of a Machon over there through Machon Hashlomo Le Mos Machim, I think, over there. That was actually set up through Hamizrahi, Ha'olami, respectively, over there. Now, I think before the independence war, the Milchemet Atzmaut, he would be working, I think, he was connected somehow to the Haganah, if I'm not mistaken, and then afterwards he would draft inside the Israeli army, respectively. Come on, 1950, more happenings will happen. Remember, this was a very happening time period at that stage in time, and I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, in 1950 was pivotal time in his life. Let's just say, over there, he would go. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was also a candidate at around that time period to become a chief rabbi of Israel in 1950, and I think he would go and work. As well as that, I think he was a chief rabbi, if I'm not mistaken, to the city of Ramat Gan, one of the main cities in Israel, very. And he would be sent also on a shlichut eventually to Peru. This is a country obviously in South America, and that would be under the auspices, direction of Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uzziah, great rabbi over there, and would be working, doing avodat kodesh, doing various different works at that point in time. I think he spoke Ladino also, which definitely did help, let's say, mitzkarev, the Sephardi community, bring them close also, so speaking to them within regards to that, and that was very, very important time period for himself, and really, I think he did mitchazek at that stage in time, that specific places. So then, it's actually interesting, he would I think be teaching Jewish education over there in Peru, respectively, which is very, very important at that point in time, a community that needed this. And I think he would set up mikveh there for men, mikveh for everyone, purification mikveh. I think he will organize and help with Jewish education over there and Jewish life. And he was also involved with Zionistic movements over there. He was abroad of various different, let's just say, arrangements over there. I think he had a part to do with the Israeli embassy and the UJA, the United Jewish Appeal over there. Also, I think he was very much involved with. I'm not sure if it was setting up or working on that. Respectively, he was doing weddings, chuppah, kiddushin, so on and so forth. So he was very, very important over there. I think the organization was a Histadrut Tzionit he was involved with over there also, which was, let's just say, very, very important. And so we have to point that out. Then I think he will progress and go to more places. And obviously all these places at that point in time, there was unfortunately rampant in assimilation. So I think he would then go on, if I'm not mistaken, to travel to Mexico City at one stage in time. He was a rabbi, I think, of the Ezra Betzor community also in the United States of America for a several year window period of time. I don't know if that was maybe in Seattle or Washington, that was respectively. So that would obviously bring huge more opportunity, huge more responsibility, and, diverseness without a doubt, making many, many different connections. I think that was in the year 1959. The community was called Ezra Betzor. I think that was in Washington or Seattle, around that specific vicinity. Then afterwards, the Har Sinai community will go to in Mexico City. He'll become the rabbi of the congregation over there. I think that will be until the year 1977. So that was a staggering time period. Then afterwards, I think he would come back to Eretz Israel and become part of the Shivat Sha'ar Tzion, which I spoke about before. And that was very much under the auspices at the time when Rabbi Uzziah was alive, under him, respectively. And I think he was very much very, very busy at that point in time. I think he would have a close connection with Rabbi Shabtai Aton at that window of time. Rabbi Shabtai Aton was one of the famous rabbis of Yeshivat Porat Yosef at that point in time. He himself passed away, I think, in the year 2006. He was also, I think he was a Rosh Yeshiva of Reshit Chochmah, if I'm not mistaken. So that is very, very important happening also, Rav Shabtai Aton, and he also happened to have been a Talmid of Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uzziah. So there was a very strong connection over there. And he would take on various other roles within regards to the orphanage house, Sephardic orphanage house, I believe. And he would set up a kollel Avraham called the Naot Dasha, I believe that was called. And he was part, obviously, as we stated before, the Sephardic Community Council in Jerusalem, which we've spoken about before on this series. We actually recorded a video within regards to the history or parts of the history of this specific Sephardic Community Council, respectively, and so on and so forth. So we can see he had a very, very busy life. He was director of the Community Council, if I'm not mistaken. And he would also serve on a committee for publishing various writings of Rabbi Uziel, which is translated into many halachic books, I think in Spanish language. And he would continue till the end of his life with a strong, let's just say, connection with the various different Latin American communities, also, which we have to mention. I think there was a film production with regards to the life of Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel. I think it was actually named, if I'm not mistaken. The production was Haro'eh Lemarchok. This was in the year 2004, and he would take a part in it. And I think he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2014. It was 18th of September of that year. We're talking about 11 years ago, 23rd of Elul, which will be next week from the time of recording. I think something was established in his memory in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, July 2017, called Zichor Sifriyat Eshed Hanachalim, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he wrote various different books he was part of, including Mavot Lesevet Get Pashut from Machon Yerushalayim in Tafshin Mem. The Eshed Hanachalim, as we mentioned about before, the first chelek, I think, was on the Shulchan Aruch. The second one was, I think, in Spanish, and also in Spanish. And second and third book was Shilot Shvot and Halacha, question and answers and Halacha. That might have been published in 1998. A Perush and Od Dasha, which was, I think, in Sephardi translation of Tehillim, if I'm not mistaken, and a Perush in the book of Kohelet, also. I think various different other writings came out in the Yahalom, if I'm not mistaken, which is very, very important to point out also. So, and just a few more things that we can say within regards to him. Shari Tzion Yeshiva, hopefully we will speak about that at one point in time. I think he was part of the Nachalat Shiva neighborhood also, which we've mentioned about on various occasions before. And his wife's name was Rabbanit Sarah. I think they would have a few children together, but I think several years after they got married, sadly, his wife passed away. It was. So you can see he had a very, very busy life with many different happenings. Let's explore a few of the highlights within regards to his books, which he had written. I think that's important also to see. So it states just to explore some highlights. One of the teachings he has, I think, is featured in the Eshed Nachalim in the third part of the book, which was in Amud Reish Samach Vav. Melamed apotech yado leoni, potech otzrot hashamayim levarech maaseh yadav. This is one of the teachings over there. Another teaching, Melamed lasot tzedakah mishpat lelo afleya shel geza tseva v'dat. This is another teaching, I think, coming from page 112 over there. Another one, mechazek aminhag litkabetz bebeit hatinok belayla shelipnei hamila. Another teaching, Melamed shebacha shi gan naul leoyev umayan ganim lebanim ashavim. Another teaching, one last teaching, I think, come from page 54 of the Sefer Eshed Nechalim. It says, "Melamed lo le'akev yeled melimado v'la'ato l'shofet la'tzilo miyad ushko." This is another teaching from his book, respectively. So he's a famous rabbi of his time. I think we're going to try and maybe record a video on the school he learned about in Shari Tzion, respectively. And please learn more about the famous rabbi and educate in of itself. Now, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about great rabbis. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, if you dissent from any of the great chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information on the great rabbi that you might be descended from. If you feel anyone also is interested in watching any of these videos that we are recording, please share these videos to other people. Now, the good news is we're nearing a staggering 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. Please join the channel and please subscribe and please tell everyone else to join all your friends. We don't just record videos on the history of great rabbis of yesteryear. We also do Daf Yomi tidbits, for example. Inside this series, we will record videos on with a great Jewish personality here of modern era, also in of itself. We speak about, and we do huge amounts of works we're trying to do for Am Yisrael. So it's a huge privilege, huge honor to be doing this. And we're just about to come inside Parshat Ki Tavo de Shabbat. It's going to be just in a couple of hours of time. It's a mitzvot of Bikurim we will see in this week's Parsha, and so on and so forth. So I recommend everyone to have a good Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, as they say, and one full of spirituality. We're coming into Rosh Hashanah soon, and it's going to be very soon, actually. So I think it's definitely an opportune time to grow, to mitchazek, and to educate and to learn. And obviously it's a time period of slichot, also where many people, I think Ashkenazim, are going to start also saying slichot on Motzei Shabbat, which I also have to point out. So us Sephardim, who have been saying it since pretty much just after Rosh Chodesh Elul, and now everyone, the whole of Am Yisrael, is going to start saying it over. So very interesting. Well, thanks everyone for taking the time to watch, and wishing you brachot here from Israel, and a good day. Thank you very much, and take care. Appreciated. Everyone everyone that is actually just coming in, just once again, please subscribe to the channel. It's not many places you'll find like an online encyclopedia on the history of great rabbis of yesteryear. So thanks very much and enjoy. Thank you. Appreciate it.